Hi, everybody. Welcome to our channels. We're doing a broadcast on our Scientology stories, Peeling the Onion, and we're simultaneously broadcasting on Amy Scobie's channel as well, because we have a special guest today, and we want to welcome you to our channels. And first, I'm going to bring in my co-host, Janis Gillham Grady. Hi, Janis. How are you today?
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. I hope you're all enjoying your Saturday and all revved up and ready for this great show we're going to give you today.
Yeah, we've got a really good one for you guys. We've got never before seen photographs. And what's really making it a great show is we've got introducing our special guest, and that's Mat Pesch. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, Matt's joining us from Florida, and he's of course with Amy. And we decided when you talked about the flood on was it last week? You guys did a video, you and Amy. So, right. Janis, you brought up the fact that I've got pictures of the flood, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to go through those stories, as well as, we've got some other ones too about the Gold Base, the early years, because Matt was there, Janis was there, and we think you're going to enjoy it. While I'm on the subject right here, please subscribe to our channel. You can subscribe to both Amy's channel, but also subscribe to our channel too. And we appreciate that. We appreciate the support. Also, we're going to do comments. We're going to do questions and answers after we go through the slides. So if you've got any questions, go ahead into the chat. I see Goldie's in there already. But go into the chat, and if you have a question, please write the word question before you write the question, so that way we can easily find it and we don't miss your question. But of course, you're also welcome to super chat us and super sticker us on either channel. I know we appreciate the donations, and I'm sure Amy and Matt do too. And we just need you guys to watch and ask and enjoy the show. Right, Janis?
Yes. Okay, let's roll.
Okay. Hey, Matt, the first thing we're going to do, we've got some business to take care of real quickly that over the last week. And so we're going to start here right now with our onion peeling news. Okay. For our Scientology stories, peeling the onion peeling news. Okay. And the first thing we wanted to mention is, Janis, we went to dinner last Tuesday at Caesar's Palace. This is Caesar's Palace here in Las Vegas. And here's Caesar himself presiding over the hotel and casino. But Janis, why don't you tell the story about where we went and who was there?
Well, we went to Hell's Kitchen. We got invited by one of our fans who lives here in Las Vegas, and she.
Did you say Hank's Kitchen?
No, Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen. Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, so we met a fan there for dinner with a friend of hers at Hell's Kitchen, and her son works there, and we had a wonderful time getting to know her and her friend.
Here's the picture right here.
And there we are with Cheryl and Linda.
That's right. And we want to thank them. It was really generous, and it was very nice. We had a great time. We talked a lot about different things, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. Right, Janis?
Yeah, and I had not had a beef Wellington in a long time, and it was good.
That's right.
And the sticky toffee pudding.
That's right. That's right. Hold on. And then I've got you right here.
Yeah.
That's us there at the table, and then here's mine right here. And you see the hellfire behind me. And this is right on the Las Vegas Strip at Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, Caesar's Palace. The other thing is we want peeling the onion. Janis, we got this in the mail as well. Each of us did, right? Do you want to explain what it is?
Yes, we did. It is an onion that peels, and the little pieces come off, and it opens up to SPTV.
And I got one of those too, and it's courtesy of Brooke Melhorn. Brooke, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It's really a work of art. Lots of ingenuity there, and it was really, really well appreciated. We had a good time receiving that, and I know Janis did as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we want to thank you, Brooke.
It sits next to my theta potato.
Yeah, mine too. I got my theta potato here too. So we're all good here. And that's from Marilyn Honig. And anyway, we want to thank everybody for those gifts. They were quite nice. Okay. Next, this is Janis. This is your cat, right?
Yeah, that's my cat. He's 15 years old. I call him Kitty Cat, but Paul named him McLovin after some stupid
Super
TV
Bad.
show.
The movie, no, a movie called Super Bad.
Super Bad. Okay.
So that's McLovin there. And then this is a picture. That's me with Janis's dogs, Rocky and Moose, over at Janis's house the other day.
Yep, Mark came over to fix my microphone.
That's right, Janis. That's where we forgot. You're set up on your new microphone. Hopefully everybody can hear a lot better now.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. And then this picture here, Janis, who's that and what's going on there?
That is my daughter checking her text messages and my dog's supervising.
They're all looking at her phone at the same time. Isn't that cute?
I should have put ties on them.
Yeah. Okay, great. So that's that. We want to thank everybody. That was Peeling the Onion News for this week. And we've got 216 people in here on our channel. I don't know how many are Amy's, but I'm sure there's a lot there too. And we just want to welcome everybody again. If you have any questions, go ahead and write in the chat. The chats are combined so we can see them. And if you want to super sticker us or super chat, you can do that as well. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. Also, we're going to do giveaways, right, Janis?
Yes, we're going to be giving away one of my grocery bags with my.
And then Matt, what do you got? Matt's got something too.
Yep.
Amy's book, Scientology Abuse at the top.
Autograph.
Signed by Amy and myself.
There you go. So we're going to have two giveaways. One's Janis's bag and the other one is Amy's book. And we'll do that at an opportune time in the slideshow. We'll do the first giveaway, and then we'll do the second one right before we go to questions and answers. Okay. So anyway, we've got a lot in store for you. We hope you enjoy it. And we'll go ahead and get started here. Matt, okay, so tell everybody, how did we all meet? How did you meet Janis and meet me? I know I remember when I first saw you, but go ahead.
Well, let's see. We met at the Gold Base.
Yeah.
I just met Mark. I remember you just being an executive there, and we probably ran into each other on all hands Saturday renos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Janis, we ran into each other. I mean, you were the gopher IC at one point, and I was the gopher IC at one point. I think we're the only two that ever held that post. That our statistic was number of gophers caught. It was just like, it was a way of kind of like we were supposed to be disinfected. It was a way of kind of getting rid of us and sending us on the golf course all day with our dogs. But,
you had to catch gophers.
We should have been there together, Matt. You could have been my deputy gopher in charge.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a great job.
You guys got to be careful because next thing you know, we're going to get a crocheted gopher set here. Okay.
We both had dogs, so it was fun for us to be on the golf course all day long, walking around with a dog and being out, on the golf course with nobody bothering us. It was pretty nice, actually.
Well, and I also got to mow the lawns in the little drive-around tractor, and I'd sit
That's right.
in my bikini in the summer. I was brown.
You were real dark. You were real dark.
And then, Matt, I remember meeting you. I came to the base in '82 for training, and then later. But I remember you first in security, but also on construction. And were you on the Gold construction team when we were building the studio? Were you working on that with John Brousseau and everybody?
Oh, you mean the music studio?
Yeah, the music studio. Were you still there for the music studio?
No, I was already sent to the RPF by then.
Okay, because I remember we took the whole RPF, Andre and Steve Willett, and we were building the music studio. I wasn't sure if you were part of that or not.
No, I helped on the planning, and I brought it to building and safety to get the permit and all that kind of stuff. But by the time they broke ground on that, I was already gone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember you and Kenny Siebold in security and Jim Cupp, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And the first thing I always think about when I think of Jim Cupp is that Mako dirt bike that he had. Do you remember that? It was like a rocket ship.
Well, wasn't he a champion dirt biker or something?
Yeah, I mean, he would go across the whole golf course on the back wheel. During dinner time, you'd see Jim Cupp go screaming by on the back wheel across the whole golf course. It was a great guy.
And just to explain to everybody, when we say the golf course at that point, it was desert. I mean, literally, they were not watering the golf course, and it was tumbleweeds and dirt, and the golf course basically no longer existed, right?
Right. And when the flood happened, it kind of gave us the excuse of like, oh, look what happened. Now we can't take care of it. Nobody wanted to take care of it anyway. It was so expensive and it took so much manpower. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
we had
what
no
was it?
use for it.
520 acres or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember when I got there, there were sheep. There was a sheep herder that had a mobile home out there, and then he would graze his sheep, and then they'd go up on the mountainside behind the property, up on the mountains at night. They'd be up there with the sheep herder. I couldn't believe the sheep could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, okay, great. Well, we're going to go over. We're going to start the new slideshow. Okay, the first slideshow about Gilman Hot Springs, the early years. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here we go. All right, this is Gilman Hot Springs Gold Base, the early years with our special guest, Mat Pesch. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Golden Era, about Gilman Hot Springs first. This is a picture of a brochure, Gilman Hot Springs in San Jacinto, California, the delightful tourist and family health resort. See America first. Janis, can you tell the story about how you guys found this property?
Yeah, we were living out at La Quinta at the time, and Hubbard was doing his shoots, and so they found a location in the brush just past Gilman Hot Springs, the Indian reservation, and we shot there, and then after that, it was supposed to be a golfing scene. So they had found this golf course at MCI, Massacre Canyon Inn, that found it and rented that for us to go and do the shoots there. So after shooting past Gilman Hot Springs, we then moved to the Massacre Canyon Inn, and we did a whole shoot based off being Scottish. And that's where LRH later came up with the theme of turning it into a Scottish kind of motif.
Right.
But when we were there shooting is when we found out that it was in bankruptcy court. And the place was actually starting to close down. So we needed a summer headquarters. We had winter headquarters in La Quinta, and we wanted a summer headquarters because La Quinta got too hot for the summer. So that's when Kimma was given the project of getting a realtor and going to the bankruptcy court and putting in a bid on this property, and we won the bid. And that's how we ended up with it. And then while we were living at La Quinta, we were supposed to go back and forth, but we had a security breach at La Quinta, and some people had blown and gone to the press saying where Hubbard was. So he quickly split and ended up staying in Hemet in an apartment building when we closed on MCI and took control of that. And then we brought in crews to fix it up. And that's where Matt came into the picture.
Yep.
Okay, great. And when you say MCI, this Massacre Canyon Inn.
Yes.
And okay, great. Let me go ahead into the next couple of pictures just to show what it looked like before you guys bought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. This was around the late 70s, like 1978, right?
Yeah, this was late 78 that we purchased it, and people started moving over there in time for Christmas.
Okay, great. All right, so this is a map. And over to the left with the brown dot, that's Los Angeles, California. And then you can see over to the right, Gilman Hot Springs. And it basically was about a 90-minute drive to get out there. It's located right next to San Jacinto, California. And the other major town that's nearby is Hemet, California. And then Mount San Jacinto is right there as well. And it's a hot springs right up against the mountains, okay? And
yeah, it was on the other side of the mountains from Palm Springs.
Right. Okay. And then this is an old photograph. The Gilman brothers acquired the San Jacinto Hot Springs from the S.J. Branch family in 1913 and owned it for 65 years. And that's a photograph of it, obviously around 1913, and what it looked like. And it was basically desert, but there was a hot springs, a natural hot springs that was there.
Yeah. And looking at these pictures, Mark, you can see looking at other photos too, there was a lot of huts that were built around the property or cabins and so forth. And I wanted to mention there was an old Gilman house And then someone had asked if we had horses at the base, and we had Chris Byrne build corrals around the old Gilman house, and there were some horses there. But then the old Gilman house became too old, and the Gilmans built one up on the hill that was called New Gilman House, and then Hubbard changed it to Bonnyview as part of the whole Scottish theme. And in the back was a cabin that Paco, his steward, lived in. And when they went to renovate it, they found that the original tent was still there, but they'd built the wood and put the sheetrock up around the original tent.
Okay, great. So let's go to the next picture here. That's Gilman Hot Springs Resort Hotel. That's MCI, Massacre Canyon Inn down there, the dining room area. There's nothing like a bath, and this is probably from the 1960s. And then here's a better shot here. This is a wide-angle shot, Massacre Canyon Inn, and those are all cars you can see probably from the 50s and 60s. But that's what the property looked like. When we got there, it was, those are the lodges there on the left and in the middle. And then the dining area, Massacre Canyon Inn, is there to the right. And then here, Massacre Canyon Inn, basically it had its mineral springs, a 27-hole golf course in the foothills of romantic San Jacinto Mountains. And basically people would come there on holiday or weekends or whatever. And that's what it was for. And Massacre Canyon is actually right near the property. Janice, why don't you explain?
It's kind of like the first bend away from Gilman, but it was called Massacre Canyon because there had been 2 Indian tribes in that area, and one of them was having problems with food, and they went on to the other tribe's land, and it became a big battle, and they ended up. The Indians that were actually on that land ended up being massacred. Both sides were massacred, but they ended up pushing them over to an edge which was a 12-foot drop, and they just fought it out to the end there. And that's why it was called Massacre Canyon Inn, because it's the first bend away from Gilman Hot Springs.
Okay, great. And then here, this is a picture of the lodges. That's the golf course in front. And then behind, looking, I guess it's north, those are the mountains that were right up against the property on the backside there. And then here's a picture of the dining room. And this is the way the dining room looked, right, Matt and Janice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. I mean, when we went onto that property, there was a post office still operating there.
That's right.
And Ken Norton had his whole gang there. He was that's where he was,
the boxing, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
He and his whole team were there still practicing.
That's right.
Yeah, they had it in the old editing building, right? I remember.
That's right. Yep. They had mirrors set up, and they had the ring, and he had all the stuff in there.
Yeah.
Famous heavyweight champion Ken Norton we're talking about here. Anyway, so that was the dining room until it got renovated in the 80s. That's what it looked like when we were there eating. And so you get an idea of what it looked like there, okay? And then the next thing here, this is the golf course when it was still open. This is not the existing golf course, but that's what the golf course looked like, Janis. And you guys, L. Ron Hubbard, you guys came there to shoot one of the TR movies. I can't remember what it was called. It actually was pretty interesting. It was, to me, I thought it was the best one of any of the ones that he shot. But anyway, so did you have a story about the car or anything like that? Did you want to tell that story, Janis?
You mean how I ended up there at first?
Yeah.
Well, in the opening chapter of my book, I talk about being in the bushes in a gully type of thing, and I'd put my car keys in Hubbard's motorhome because I didn't have a purse with me, and I was climbing around these bushes during the shoot. And then when we got ready to leave, the motorhome had already moved, and it was at Gilman Hot Springs, and I didn't have the keys to the car, and I had the rest of the messengers with me in my car. So I ended up having to jump a ride with someone else, go all the way down to Gilman, get my car keys from the motorhome, get a ride all the way back in order to bring the car down. And I got in big trouble for that. I got assigned liability and sec checked, and I ended up on the RPF. But that's a whole nother story. But that was my first dealings with Gilman Hot Springs.
Okay. All right. And then this is actually a picture of L. Ron Hubbard, Mary Sue Hubbard, and Suzette Hubbard, and that's Arthur Hubbard sitting down in the middle. It was his 21st birthday, and that was up at the Bonneview house, right, Janis?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. Diana was at Flag, Diana, I think, was not in the Sea Org at that time. So that's all that was left there was Mary Sue, Arthur, and Suzette, and Hubbard.
Yeah, and I think these are like some of the only photographs of LRH actually being on the property at Bonneview that I remember, these things.
Yeah, I don't remember many others.
No. Anyway, so there's a photograph. That's never before seen, people.
Amazing they had that picture.
All right, great. Hey, Matt, can you let me pull this off real quick? I'm gonna bring Matt in here. Matt, tell me what it was like when you first arrived at the base. What did you think of the property when you first got there?
I mean, it was so huge, and there was probably about, I don't know, 15 of us. We're all teenagers, pretty much. Everybody's, excited, and we're just kind of like running around, seeing what the place looked like, and you can imagine how excited we were about the whole thing. And at that time, all the food that was left in the kitchen and stuff from the restaurant, we were able to eat all that food, and we were eating real good in the beginning. There was steaks and lobster and all that kind of stuff.
But it was just a handful of you, right?
Yeah, there was maybe no more than 15 people. Yeah, and we were all green. Like, we weren't really Scientologists. Like, nobody had ever gotten any kind of ordering or done any training. We were just real super green. So yeah, that's what we.
I remember the first time it came in '82. It was still not a renovated property or whatever. Some of it was, but not much. Right. But to me, it was kind of cool. I mean, I hate to say that, but I remember just going, "Hey, this property is actually pretty cool." You know what I mean? We're out there basically running around. We didn't have to wear uniforms when I first got there. Remember, we could just wear regular clothes, and it's kind of like we were out in the middle of nowhere, but there was these cool old golf course and facilities and stuff, and it was all young kids. It was all young people like us,
And we weren't supposed to be Scientologists. It was all, once again, we had a property that we took over and hid the fact that we were Scientologists, which blew up in our faces, of course, later on, big time.
Yeah, always does.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, but if you even said the word Scientology word outside, you were in big trouble. We all had fake names and all that stuff. If you wanted to call home, you had to go 45 minutes away with the security person listening on the phone call. Yeah, we had all that stuff in place.
Yeah, because this was a confidential location. Scientologists could not know where this was. Even staff members, you were going over the rainbow, which all seemed very mysterious and pretty cool,
Right.
All right. So now the next photos. This is life at Gilman Hot Springs in 1978-79, and this is Janis. Why don't you describe?
Yeah, that's me and Justin Stratman wrestling around in the back of MCI. We all used to, at lunch, we'd go out there, and all of us would just kind of wrestle and hang out, and we had nothing else to do.
Okay, and then there's the next picture here. Is that part of the wrestling?
My attempt at acrobats.
Okay, and where is that?
You can see the back of MCI there.
Yeah, is that on the old the practice putting green over the grass?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, when we say MCI, we're talking about the dining room building.
Yeah, and we'll say MCI a lot because it's Massacre Canyon Inn is MCI. So it's very easy for us to fall into that and call it MCI because that's what we refer to it as always.
Yeah, the whole property was Gilman, but that little location of the dining room was MCI.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God. There's Paul and Janis in a hot tub. What's going on there?
That's Paul and I in the hot tub. That must have been 1980, before the renovations of the pool area, before it was turned into a ship.
Yep.
Yeah, and just so you know, for you viewers out there, this was not an idyllic life. I mean, you may see them, lounging around all that. You don't take photographs of the hard work that you're doing, right, Janis, or the getting yelled at or anything like that.
You take it when you're relaxing with that 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. You're not taking. I thought about that today because I was thinking we don't take photographs when we're getting in trouble.
No.
All right, and then who's that, Janis?
Well, that's me on the smaller horse, and Fernando, my brother-in-law, on the other horse.
That's Fernando Gamboa. Yeah.
Fernando Gamboa. He passed away in February of 2021. But I put this here because we're going to talk about the flood. But I wanted to mention, we used to go horse riding. We had horses over at the old Gilman house. My sister did, and Chris Byrne did. That's Chris Byrne's horse that I'm riding. And my sister was living in LA, but she would come in and ride with us. And one time we'd ride on the golf course, and we were crossing the San Jacinto River bed. And we actually got stuck in quicksand. And I had no idea there was quicksand even on the property until suddenly the three of us on our horses are all suddenly being sucked into the ground, and the horses are up to their bellies. Luckily, I was bareback, so I was able to jump off and quickly keep the horse moving. Then I went back and helped Fernando get his out. But my sister's horse, she'd just gotten a saddle for her birthday, a new saddle. We had to dig down to get the saddle off the horse. And we're like, what are we going to do? And we were thinking of getting a crane and, to get the horse out. And this lady happened to come by on a quad. And she came over and she got a twig, not a stick, a switch. She came over and just started beating that horse like I could never do. But wow. It finally got the horse to pull up its legs and get out of the quicksand. But if she hadn't come along, I don't know what we would have done.
Wow.
That's amazing. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide here. And that's Paul washing your car at the lower villa, right, Janis?
Yes, and behind Paul, you can see that's the swimming pool area.
Okay, great. All righty here. Now we're going to get to the next part, which is the construction. This is the main part that Matt, you were involved in, the construction of the gym, which was really the movie soundstage at the property, right?
Yeah, we called it the gym because we weren't supposed to be Scientologists again. We couldn't say we're making a studio. We had to say we're making a gym, which is ridiculous because if you looked at the blueprints, there's no way it looked like a gym. But that's what we were trying to, pass it off as.
But the outside looked like a gym.
Yeah, the outside looked like a gym. In fact, we got the cert of occupancy, and then a lot of work got done on it after that to make it more of a studio. So, yeah. Yeah,
and the thing is that we always called it the gym, even after it's always was the gym. It was never the studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and show these, and Matt, you're going to be able to, comment and talk about it. So this is the construction of the gym, the movie soundstage. And this is far away. Matt, why don't you describe where this was located on the property?
Okay, it was, if you came out of the back of the MCI, the dining area, it was to the left. It was where there used to be tennis courts. We basically built it on the old tennis courts.
I thought they were tennis courts because I saw an old photograph. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it was the tavern was like right next to it too.
Yeah.
The steel work is the only thing that we contracted out. Everything else was done in-house. All the electric, the plumbing, the form work, the concrete, everything was done in-house except for the steel. And it was done with guys that never built anything before. And I was supposed to be
brought up there, right?
Say that again?
You were brought up from PAC in LA or whatever. And
yeah.
The work group.
Yep. And, we're all around 20 years old. And Jonah had done, I guess, a mission to get the blueprints done with the outside company. And he came, Jonah Harris, and he came and he gave us this big stack of blueprints. And we were all excited. And we put out on the table and we looked at the prints and we turned it one way, then we turned another way. And we realized none of us knew how to read the blueprints. We didn't know. And we had to start with books and learn how to read blueprints. And Jonah was there for the first few weeks. And he was kind of pulling his hair out a little bit, what am I giving it to, to turn these prints over to? These kids don't even know how to read the blueprints. But I just said, okay, who wants to be in charge of the concrete? And one girl said, I'll be in charge of the concrete, and gave her the books. And somebody else who wants to be the plumber. And, somebody said, I'd like to learn plumbing. So I gave him the books, and who's going to be the electrician, the same thing. And that's how we kind of went through the whole thing, just kind of gave out all these different responsibilities for the job. And like the girl who learned about the concrete, she comes out And she has us sit in the shade underneath the tree, and she's going to tell us all about concrete and then what each of our jobs is going to be. And we're pretending like a truck is backing up, and we're all doing make believe out in the field. And eventually we had back-to-back concrete trucks showing up, and we did all the concrete work and stuff. So we were really proud, I tell you, as a group, getting the work done up until it got a little bit crazy. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this. Who's that, Matt?
That's me. Yeah.
Where are you? Up high on?
I'm up on the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like we're putting the boards in for the roof.
Were you 19 or 20?
20.
20?
Well, here I actually did a close up and then lightened it up so you can see. There's Matt. That's him, right?
Yep.
20 years old.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you have prior construction experience at all?
No.
Nothing. That's amazing.
Never had built anything before.
So that's you up there working on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, go ahead, explain what this is.
Well, that's the crane that's putting the steel in place. I mean, we did because it's on an earthquake fault line, we had to put pillars deep into the ground, concrete pillars that would support the building. Mm-hmm. And after we poured with the rebar and all that stuff, we had the J bolts sticking up out of the pillars, and that steel would just sit right down on those bolts that we had ready for it, and then they would just tie it down to all the prep work that we did on that job site.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the next picture. And that's Chris Byrne and Stuart Moreau, right, doing some plumbing. Like you said, everybody was assigned different things.
Yeah, that's not part of the studio, that right there, but I'm not sure.
That's the opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where they were working at that point, but yeah, we had some all hands too. We had a certain amount of hours a day eventually, where some of the other guys on the base that weren't part of the construction crew, but they were more like the estates kind of guys. They would jump in for so many hours a day and help out.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some welding being done, right?
Yeah, it looks like with the plumbing in the back, it's probably one of the, probably where one of the reservoirs in the water feed is for the base, which is separate from the gym. But yeah, it's a great shot.
Yeah, I thought it was Chris.
Yeah, it probably was Chris. Chris was the Mr. Can do everything. You know, he did the bulldozing, he did the welding. He's quite an able person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, and then this is just another picture down there. We were trying to figure out, those are the water tanks down by the gym, I think they were working on there. And then there's more of the steel going up, right?
Yeah, dropping the boards in the top.
I got several pictures of this, so I'm just going to flip through them here. If you want to make any comments, go ahead.
Yep.
Looks like you guys were just climbing up the side of the whatever the framing.
Yeah, I mean, you got scaffolding in there and, setting the stuff in place. And, yeah, we're just going at it.
Okay. And there's another shot there.
Yeah.
Another
it
shot.
Actually was going together really, really fast, as far as all the framework and stuff like that. Where you start really slowing down is there's multiple layers of soundproofing. And every screw has to have sound caulk put on it. And every joint has to be filled. And there was a lot of detail put into that building.
Yeah, and somebody asked it. This was in 1978, 79, 80, right, in that time period?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then do you remember who this is?
Yeah, I forget his name. David, his name was. But we all had fake names, so I don't know what his real name was. He was from South America. And, he was a good guy.
Okay. Who's that? Do you know who
Jonah
that is?
Harris. He's the one that worked with outside company to get those blueprints made. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Jonah had been on the Apollo.
That's right. He was a plumber on the Apollo, I believe.
Yes.
And I saw Miscavige giving him all kinds of grief when we was about that time of the job. And I could see that he wasn't appreciating it. And it didn't last very much longer after that. Jonah took off. And I heard he eventually became a lawyer on the East Coast and did real well. But
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Matt, do you remember how long it took from start to finish to build the gym?
Oh, I would say just I mean, that's Kitty. I'd say it took about 8 months or something like that.
Okay.
It took a while.
Okay.
More than 2 weeks.
More than 2 weeks. More than 2 weeks.
Okay. Who's that?
Kitty. She was in charge of the concrete. That's the girl that said, my dad used to do concrete work. I'll do the concrete.
There you go.
She
You make it go right, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Is that the same girl or somebody?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. And that's Tom Francis. I remember him.
Yep. He was a good guy. He was there with his wife. They were like 18, 17 years old. There's kids.
Yeah. And then there's from the inside, the framing.
Mm-hmm.
And who's that up there?
That's Jeff Runziel. He was from South Africa. Very good guy.
Okay. And there's, again, the inside. Now, so people understand the gym on the inside, it was soundproofed heavily, okay? And it also had air conditioning, well, not air conditioning, but air handlers put in there and all sorts of stuff so that they could put the movie sets in there and they could actually film the movies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We couldn't remember who this was, right? But that's
I forget his name right now, but he did all the engineering type stuff. You know, he was he's a good guy.
And again, framing.
Coming along.
Okay, now the reason this picture's here is these three guys. The short one on the left, that's David Miscavige. The one in the middle is Captain Bill Robertson. And the one on the right is John Nelson. And who Janis, explain to them, you know, obviously people know who David Miscavige is, but Matt, what were they doing there?
Well, John Nelson would have been the mission ops for the missionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So he was down there, and David Miscavige was his boss as the action chief. Exactly. So they were the ones responsible for getting the gym built. And I'm not sure what Captain Bill's job was at that time. Was he in charge of the base?
Yeah, he didn't stick around much longer than that. I don't know where he went off to, but that was very close to the end of where he was on that base.
Yeah, well, he started doing missions after this.
Right.
Under Miscavige, and then he ended up leaving shortly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was around 1980-ish, and I remember Captain Bill then was sent out on tons of missions to the orgs and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
He and Norman Starkey were like missionaires for Miscavige in his action bureau, and they were sent as the in-charges of a lot of missions around the world.
I can tell a real quick story on Captain Bill about that time period.
Go ahead.
He knows I'm brand new, and he comes up to me and he says, you remember how we used to run the conduit and the cables in the spaceships? And I said, no. And he said, he was like, oh, remember, like we used to make it go flexible and we were able to run it all around. And then at the end, we would make it go solid again. You know, he wanted to somehow get a patent for it. And he was like nudging me like we had done it last week. You know, I'm like, no, I don't remember. I didn't know what to think. You know, I'm brand new. And here's this guy, he's supposed to be one of the top guys. And he's like talking to me like we were wiring spaceships last week. So that was Captain Bill.
How about, I'm sorry, Janis, go ahead.
No, that is so Captain Bill, Matt.
Hey, Matt, I was going to ask you another question when I saw this picture. Do you remember the first time you met David Miscavige or any interactions you had with him around this time when you were building the gym?
The first time I met him was actually at the earlier base.
At W?
At W.
La Quinta.
La Quinta, yeah. And I was there to like renovate LRH's house, mainly to clean it and stuff like that. We were just doing some painting and cleaning and stuff. And he was running around, and, you know, I was like, this kid's like really intense. He's probably 17. And you could tell he was really putting the effort in to be something, to be someone, you know? So,
did you ever have any run-ins with him building the gym?
No.
Okay.
No, because it was more on a via, like the guy he sent in to tell us that we had to have it done in 2 weeks. You know, for me, I was just confronting the guy that was saying that, not thinking back like he's being ordered and sent in to do that. And I really almost threw the guy off the roof because, you know, he's like, when he told the guys that we had to finish in 2 weeks, I mean, of course, the morale just like sunk out the bottom. Yeah. And then this guy, Paul, that was the missionaire, everybody went off to lunch, and we're up on the roof, and he says, you don't think this can be done in 2 weeks, do you? And I said, Paul Schultz, I think his name was. And I said, well, maybe if you had like 1,000 Chinese guys and they were all standing by and they knew exactly what to do and had the tool and the materials in their hands and the guy with a whistle on the roof or something. And he said, well, what's the definition of OT? Because he was an OT, right? And I said, what's the definition of OT? Let me see you run to LA in 5 minutes or 15 minutes, right? They didn't like that. And he said, it would be an upset to you if it did get done in 2 weeks. And when he said that, I was like thinking, I'm going to just throw this idiot off the roof. And I thought, no, he's probably going to live only 30 feet up, so. But I ended being on that job site within like an hour of that, because I went to lunch and I thought, how do I get off this job site? And I knew there was this thing called mononucleosis, where if you get it, you have to sleep for weeks and you can't be by anybody else. Yeah. So we go back up on the roof, and I wrote mono on my cup. Everybody had their name written on the cup to get the juice out of the cooler. Mine said mono, and within about 45 minutes, my mouth was so blistered from such a high fever. I get sent to isolation. They do a blood draw, and they say, you got mononucleosis. And I'm like, woohoo, I'm off this job site. And that was the last I was on that job site.
How long did you spend in isolation?
6 weeks.
About 6 weeks?
Wow. Yep, and I came out, and they put me on a mission with Amy Clifford to do marketing mission. And just headed off in a whole direction from that job site. I was like, I don't want nothing to do with that thing.
So what did you do in isolation for 6 weeks? Just lay there?
Read books. Read paperback books.
And the medical officer brought you food.
Yep. And just chilled out. I was the only one in isolation and had all these books to read. And yeah, that was that.
That's great. All right, that's the end of the gym photos, and why don't we do the giveaway now? Before we do that, we'll give away a bag first, okay, Janis?
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't you show everybody? We're going to do a giveaway here. This is a canvas bag with pictures of Janis's books on the front and the back. And while you guys are all getting in the chat, saying me, or whatever, we're going to randomly pick a winner here. But again, I'm going to remind you, please subscribe to our channels. We're doing a joint broadcast because I'm sure Amy has subscribers that don't subscribe to us yet, and vice versa. We have subscribers that haven't subscribed to Amy's channel yet. So please, it helps both of us if you just click that subscribe button on both. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, and we're a long ways away from Ron or Mark and Claire or anything like that, Mike Rinder. But we want to get bigger and bigger because we're telling our story, and everybody's channel is different. Matt and Amy's channel is different than ours. It's different than Mark and Claire's and all that. But it gives you a full picture in terms of the history of Scientology, the abuses that went on, L. Ron Hubbard, how bad he was, and all that sort of stuff. And so it helps us all if you just subscribe, and then you'll get notifications when our channel, when our videos go up, and it helps everybody. And click those like buttons too. Click it on both of our channels. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, so you ready to do the giveaway, Janis?
Yep.
Okay, everybody, load up the chat. I'm going to do a countdown, okay, and I'm just going to randomly pick somebody without looking. So just go in me, or you want to win or whatever, just anything. I'm going to start counting down, okay? So it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's PA Girl 913. Congratulations, you're the winner of the bag. Me, please, right? And what you need to do is, Janis, go ahead and tell them what.
Just send me an email at janisgilhamgrady@gmail.com. Make sure you got the 2 L's in the Gillham and the H, not an I. It's Gillham. So janisgilhamgrady@gmail.com.
Okay.
And just send me all your information.
Yeah, your address and all that, and Janis will get that sent out to you. Okay. All right. So we appreciate everybody that participated in that. And then right before we go to question and answers, we'll do another giveaway, and that'll be a signed copy of Amy's book. Right, Matt?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. All right. Let me pull this thing off here. gotta remember to do this stuff. Okay, great. All right. So the next thing that we're going to cover is the flood that happened in February 1980. Right? Can you guys give a little background in terms of what was going on at the time at the base?
Matt?
Okay. The studio was like almost being wrapped up. You know, it was well on the way. They were doing like a lot of finish work and stuff like that. It started raining for days. So the riverbed behind the property in the summertime would just be dry sand, and it had concrete walls on the side. And when it rained, it was allowed, to let the water just kind of roll on through. But with the heavy rain that we were getting, it started turning into like waves in that river, like 2-foot waves, and it was pulling trees down, and it was pulling concrete off the side walls of the riverbed and spinning them around like graham crackers. I mean, it was getting violent. And on the Hemet side, the Army Corps of Engineers showed up, and they had bulldozers that was so huge they had to bring the parts in on 18-wheeler trucks and assemble on site. And these two bulldozers could actually go straight on into the river, push sand and mud from the river up onto the side walls to keep the water from breaking through and heading down to Hemet and San Jacinto. And our side, we just had the backhoe and a little dozer and a bunch of guys with shovels. And the walls were getting chewed away, and we were fighting this thing day and night. And on our side, because our dozer was so small, he couldn't go into the river and push material out of the inside of the river onto the bed. He had to draw it from the actual golf course. So the longer this went on, we're drawing water out. We're in the big trench. Eventually, we are literally standing on the land that's below the river water level. So if it breaks through, it's going to come and it could just kill us with that much water coming through. So it was getting super, super dangerous. And we were down to some places, it would get down to like 6-8 feet of wall left, like dirt left. And we'd all run to that spot. And then they'd say, oh, it's about to break through, over, 500 yards that way. And we'd all run that way and try to push dirt up. So it was like, we knew we couldn't hold very long. It was going to go. And it was just a matter of when it was going to go. And that's when somebody popped a hole through the other side and flooded out the town of Hemet and San Jacinto area. All those farms in the town and all that stuff got flooded out. And right after it broke through that side, it broke through our side. But at that point, the main flow of the river was already heading into town. So we just got what was left over, which it by itself put about 3 feet of water into the garage, our parking garage. And it brought water within 1 inch of going into the studio. And within just like another inch higher would have been into the dining area. It was like right up against the doors. We had sandbags everywhere around the dining area, around the studio. And it was crazy times. But I can tell you, it was popped on their side, or we would have taken the main brunt on our side. And the damage that was caused over on that side was massive. And the two bulldozers, they were buried to the point where just the little stacks of the exhaust stacks was sticking out of the mud. They had to come in the summertime and dig those out. That's how deep they got buried in that soot and that mud.
That's amazing.
I don't know if those guys survived or how that worked out. I don't know. But I can tell you just from where I was, I could see that's how deep they were buried.
Great. Janice, were you there for the flood too?
No, CMO International, we were actually in Los Angeles at the time of the flood, but my sister-in-law, Doreen, was up there. She was in charge of the CMO up there at the Special Unit Base. So she did the inspections afterwards, and that's what we have of these photographs. Someone was asking about the photographs. These photographs were from my sister-in-law's collection, Doreen, and she's in them as well.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull these up, and we'll start going through them, okay? All right. So that's just picture of water running around there. But this is Highway 79, right? The
yes.
Highway that splits the property.
Yes,
and
it
that's
is.
The sheriff's vehicle, and you can see all the mud and the water there. And that, again, same Highway 79, right, Matt? That's flooded over there? Okay.
Yep.
And that's that main highway. That's the main route that splits the property. So when that gets flooded out, I mean, it causes major traffic jams in that area. This is a nighttime photo of the garage. That's the gas station pumps up there straight ahead. And that's water, right? Isn't that water?
Yeah, that's water that actually goes right across the road, Highway 79.
Yeah. And this picture we figured out, right? That's Jim Pettigrew. And the guy in the red, we'll have another photograph, is Tanya Arbuckle. And Jim's got a cat that he's rescued. Here, you can see it right here.
Yeah.
He's got a cat that he's rescued there. And that's Tanya.
I think his wife's name was Tanya Pettigrew.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They were living in the garage house.
And then, Janis, you said this is the gym, the studio, right? And the water.
And look how close that water is to go and actually into that. And the floor of that studio was all like sound traps, boxes that were filled with a paper pulp insulation. So if that got wet, it would have been a real problem. Not that it's good it didn't get wet. It's terrible, and that day somebody actually popped that wall to flood the town. But you got to think though, you got a cult mindset, which is this base is going to save the planet. It's, this is the most important thing there is. This is good for everybody if Scientology survives and does well and gets these films out and all this stuff. And it's like the end justifies the means from a cult viewpoint. Like if the town gets flooded, well, it's most good for the most people if the Scientology property survives and the town gets washed away.
Right.
Just the way that's to think of it.
And this is people inside MCI, right? Staff.
Yeah, and the one in the middle there looking directly at the camera, that's Jerry Armstrong.
Oh,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is the garage, the same photo you saw in the nighttime. This is in the daytime. It's the garage is a huge building, and then there were old gasoline pumps from back in the day when it was a resort. But yeah, you can see still the mud and the water and everything out there.
Yeah.
And then the next picture here that's the other side of the garage. The garage was huge.
Yeah.
And, they used to probably take care of the equipment as well as the golf carts and everything back in the day. But that was the main area for storage. And then eventually it was sets and props for the movies. And then the estates offices were in there in the motor pool.
Yep. A lot of that building material was in there when that thing got flooded. It took a lot of work. That place was filled with mud and water, and everything got destroyed. And that's looking from the MCI across the parking lot towards the garage. Yeah. The side of the garage.
And that's the other side of the garage, I think, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It could be the MCI side, but that's the backhoe. I don't know who's on it.
Yeah. Looks like maybe Jonah.
And this is the gym, and I put that word there or whatever, but those are sandbags, right? Yeah. Those are sandbags on top of the concrete to protect the building.
Yeah, to try to keep the water from going into the actual studio itself.
I'll never forget that thick concrete slab that you see there.
Yeah.
I always wondered, boy, I mean, you got to step up to get into this building. What's going on? And it's a good reason they did it, is because of potential flood, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did you guys have to fill the sandbags?
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember doing that in the 1990 flood, and boy, that's a lot of work.
The whole crew was working on it, all night long, just filling sandbags. Women, guys, everybody had their shovel and filling sandbags.
Yeah. And that's the looking out towards the golf course from MCI, the flooded area. The riverbed is out there too, somewhere. So that's where the water was coming from.
Yeah. And
that's also looking out from MCI towards the river area. And that's MCI there, the building, the dining area there, and you can see the water. It looks like there's a lake right up next to the building.
Yeah.
And who's that, Janis?
That's London. That's my brother and sister-in-law's dog.
Okay.
Yeah. That's him going swimming behind MCI.
Yeah.
And who do you know who the people are? I know your Doreen is right there in the middle, right?
In the middle, and my brother is to the left of her in the plaid shirt.
Right. That's right.
Yep. And I think Arthur is behind him in the hat.
Okay.
I don't know who the others are.
All right. Who's that, Janis?
And that's Doreen Doe with Pookie. Pookie was the commanding officer of the base at the time. So they were canoeing around inspecting.
To see where the damage was and all that?
Yeah, yep.
And here's a close-up of them, Doreen and Ron Pookie, this is what they call him.
Yep, and his wife Becky at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's Doreen Gilham, Doreen Smith. That's the same Doreen that's in our messenger videos, right, Janis, from the being on the Apollo?
Yes. Same Doreen, same Doe.
Yeah.
Yep. Now,
okay. And this is Chris Byrne.
Yep. Chris is the one who was in the backhoe at the levee trying to save the property. And he told me that he's the one who hit the other side in order to get the water to go the other way, away from us.
And just to talk about Chris, like Matt said earlier, he was a jack of all trades. Literally, he had total confront on anything that had to do, labor-wise, construction-wise. He could dive in and do it. He ran the bulldozer that they had, the backhoe that we had, and he handled it like he was handling a car. You know what I mean? He knew what he was doing, right, Matt?
Yeah, he once worked for the DuPont family taking care of the horses, and they got some of the the most expensive horses in the world at the DuPont family. I think it was Pennsylvania, and he is such an expert on animals that and horses especially that he was working for their family taking care of the horses.
Yeah, well, I remember one of the horses got bitten by a rattlesnake over at old Gilman, and he knew exactly what to do. He got a hose and put it up his nose before it would swell up. And, he just knew it. Anything with animals, he knew what to do.
Yeah.
He was South African, Janis?
No, he is British, English.
British. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he eventually blew the base with his later wife. And that's a whole interesting story too. But Janis, why don't you tell people what he did after he left the Sea Org, because that's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, he worked at I don't even remember the name of the
Black
place.
Beauty Ranch, I think it's called.
Well, no, he worked Cleveland Amory, the famous author.
Yes.
Okay.
Famous author, yeah.
Yeah, Black Beauty Ranch, and it was a animal rescue facility. And Chris had monkeys there and elephants there and zebras, you name it, he had it.
All the cats, the big cats, everything.
Yeah, big cats. They were all rescues, and Chris just made sure they all had a good life at this facility. And
yeah, he was the manager of the place, right?
Yes, yeah. And he actually died. He was actually going to have a barbecue, and he went out on his quad the way he usually does every night to do the last check on all the animals. And he ended up having an accident and got killed.
Yeah,
this
really
was
unfortunate.
Yeah, this was back in the 90s that happened. But he was a great guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. He came to visit us once in Vegas here too, right, Janis? I remember that.
He did. He actually came to pick up some of the burros and take them back to the rescue farm. Yeah.
So that's Chris Byrne. And then Matt, I'll never forget, you and Amy, you came through Vegas too, shortly after you guys left, right? You came.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
we
how
traveled. That's right. We went and visited you guys.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, we traveled all around the United States to see all the exes and get their story and, tying with everybody again and stuff like that. That's when we found out like so much information that we felt like we had to make it known. And we started putting the little Dickie stories together and releasing those, kind of under the radar with the, not letting everybody know who was writing these stories and stuff because we would want to get a tax straight out. But yeah, it was good times.
It was great.
Go ahead, Janis. I'm sorry.
It was great to see you guys. And then I saw you guys again in February when I went to Florida.
That's right.
Yeah.
Matt, though, I was going to say, when you guys came here to Vegas, I think Janis heard this before, but that was the first time that I heard about the musical chair story and the craziness that Miscavige was involved in after we left. And I'll never forget Amy and you telling us, boy, it's a good thing you left when you did because it got crazier.
Yeah. The amazing thing for us was everybody that we connected with, all these people that were like such top producers in the Sea Org, they all had the same kind of story as far as why they left, and it all led back to David Miscavige and his abuses. Every single person left because of David Miscavige and his abuses. And we're like, I mean, looking back, I'm glad he chased us all out of there because it's great we got out of there. But it's the guy's he's a psycho.
Yeah, Go ahead, Janis.
Something a lot of people don't know. Here we are talking about the 1980 flood, and then I left and Mark left after the 1990 flood.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people don't know is that with all the planning being done to fix up the base, a plan was submitted for a 100-year flood and how to fix the property up in case that happened. But Miscavige disapproved that and said, just do the plan for the 10-year flood. Well, what happened was 1990 happened to be the 100-year flood and did more damage. And if he had only approved it and everything had been done for the 100-year, it wouldn't have been as bad as it was.
And he blamed the crew completely and utterly.
Yeah, an act of God. It was their fault. Yeah, it's just crazy. Do you remember, Matt, back to the 80 flood? Was there any kind of, were people in trouble from the 80 flood, or was it just everybody pitching in to try and save the property, or what happened?
Yeah, everybody pitching in. Nobody was in trouble. It was actually a highly commend to the people who fought the flood and all that. And I was wondering if Hubbard knew about the wall being breached on the other side and flooding the town. You know, I thought to myself, does he know that, you know, is that part of what we're getting highly commended for? You know, I didn't know, you know, but I figured if he's Mr. OT and stuff, he must have known, and probably somebody told him that's how we saved the base as much as we did, was, you know, destroying the town.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we're going to go to questions and answers, everybody here. So if you've got a question, go ahead and put them in the chat. We've already started quite a few of them. If you want to super chat us or super sticker us, you can do it both on Amy's channel as well as in our channel, and then we'll go through the questions and answer them as best we can. But before we do the question and answers, we're going to do the giveaway for Amy's book, right, Matt?
Sure.
Go ahead and show it up to everybody. Go ahead.
So here's the book. And I guess we'll do a little countdown. I guess you'll see it at your side because I'm not going to see it over here.
No, that's okay. I want to get everybody a chance to get into the chat this time. Yep. Okay, so get in and just if you want to win a book, it's an autographed copy of Amy's book, Abuse at the Top, and you'll win it, and we'll get your contact information, and then it'll be sent out to you. Okay, and anybody that would like to win the book, get in the chat, and I'll do a countdown here shortly. I know there's always a little bit of a delay, but anyway, get in there and fill up that chat, everybody, and we'll do it. Amy wrote that, Matt, right, shortly after you guys left, or was it after the
2009? It was like 4 years after we left.
Was it after the St. Pete Times story or before it?
Right. It was during that whole thing that she was writing it, and then we released it when we got back to Washington State.
Fabulous.
Well, I remember when you guys visited us in Vegas, Amy showed me her knowledge report that she had written. Right. And then when I read the book, I was like, oh, this was all in that knowledge report. She took that and formed that into the book.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to count down, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm clicking on somebody. Sandy Bowers. Sandy Bowers, you win the book. Congratulations, Sandy. And Janet, or how should they contact Amy to get the, to have them send the book?
Have them contact you at your side, and then just feed me the information, and we'll send it out.
I'll go ahead and put up Janice's email address.
Yeah.
I'll put up Janice's email address again.
Perfect.
Sandy, congratulations. Just send an email to janisgilhamgrady@gmail.com with your contact information and where you want the book signed or sent. Can they do a personalized?
Sure.
If you want it personalized, write in who you'd like it signed to or whatever in the actual email. And then Janice will get that information over to Amy, and we'll get that thing. She'll get it sent out to you. Okay.
Perfect.
That's right.
Fabulous. All right. So anyway, we want to congratulate and thank everybody for getting involved with our giveaway there of the book. And we're going to go to questions here. So again, dive in. If you're going to write a question in the chat, please write question in front of it. It makes it easier for us to find them. And we'll go from there. Janice, will you look at and star any new ones? I'm going to go ahead and start bringing
I'm doing that now.
All right. So I'm going to start at the top. First, we've got this is a new member of Amy's channel, Jen. She became a YouTube member. Congratulations, Jen. And I'm sure Amy and Matt appreciate that. So we want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, the more support these people give to the SP TV personnel, the more time we have to actually work on exposing the crimes of Scientology and David Miscavige. So if you want to know how do you help bring down Scientology, support the people that are on SPTV.
Yeah, and look, I'm having a good time doing this and all that, but I was just thinking today, it took me 2 hours to put together the slides today. Janis, you go through all the slides. So it's not just the broadcast that we're doing. I mean, we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes in order to prepare these things for you. And we're really happy trust me, everybody that's watching and all that, we're really appreciative. So anyway, we just want to mention that as well.
Yep.
All right, next question.
And, if we're talking about pictures, anyone out there who used to be in the Sea Org or at St. Hill and has photos, if you want them shown, I would love to have them. I just got sent some more old St. Hill photos. I got some ship wedding photos. So if you're going through stuff and you've got them, I would appreciate them, and I would like to share them with everyone else.
And you can, again, contact Janis at that email address, right, Janis?
Yes.
Janis is like the historian of the Sea Org, really. So she's the right person to send those pictures to, believe me.
Absolutely. And then also I'll mention, I'm not going to say who it is, but we're getting other people reaching out to us that want to be interviewed, old time Sea Org members, Scientologists, things like that. We did our Ken Urquhart series. We went over the Rehabilitation Project for us, and Janis is doing her whole messenger series about L. Ron Hubbard's messengers. And you can go to our channel. Amy's got some great videos. I mean, she just did a great video with Debbie Cook, her testimony. And then, of course, I love the Matt and Amy chats. Those are great, too.
Yep.
So there's lots of content, you guys, to fill up your viewing schedule. All right, let me go to the next question here. This is from Elizabeth Shrek Music. Question: what was the hardest thing to adjust to after leaving? Go ahead, Matt.
I didn't find it hard to adjust. I felt just freedom, really, right from the start. We just felt so much freedom and happiness and energy, and we just got going, really. I didn't really find it that difficult.
How about you, Janis?
It was the attitude of people in the outside world was very different, and having a mortgage business and having employees, 5 o'clock came, no matter what they were doing, they got up and they left. Where in the Sea Org, you're used to, once you start something, you stay on until you finish it. And you didn't just get up and go because, you kept going. And that was very, very different to me because 22 years, I grew up from 11 years old on that type of schedule, and you never natted about your senior. You didn't say bad things about them. So it was very hard for me to adjust. And Paul would even say, because I get mad about someone, and Paul's like, this is not the Sea Org. Okay.
Actually, it took us years that's a good point. It took us years to calm down, like not work from morning till night, 7 days a week, really. Yeah. And even I'd sit down for lunch and it felt like you had to eat quick and then get right back to work because I was flipping furniture and fixing it and all that stuff. So it took years for us to actually learn to slow down.
Yeah. And for me, I was just thinking about this again, putting myself back to that time period, late 1990. I was worried about financially. I mean, all of a sudden I was having to pay my own bills and, keep a roof over my head and food and that type of thing. And we didn't have to worry about that when we were in the Sea Organization. And it was a struggle. I'll be honest. It was a struggle for me for a couple of years, to really find a job, find something I liked, and actually feel secure enough that I actually was making enough money and was not going to end up living on the streets somewhere. So that was really difficult too.
Yeah, I agree with that because I was basically barefoot and pregnant when when we show up, and I going in the mortgage business. I didn't know what mortgage meant, and I had no credit. I didn't exist, and so we had to start from scratch at 34 years old.
Yeah. Janis, they can write a country music song about you back then.
Yeah.
Barefoot and pregnant.
We were keeping all our money buried in the ground because we were afraid that Scientology would somehow try to come back after the money and stuff, really. So I didn't want any money on the table, everything was buried someplace.
Jeff Walker did that to the day he died.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, thank you very much, Elizabeth. We'll go to the next question here. Megan Delahante. Question, Matt, do you have any funny Tom DeVox stories that you can share?
Oh, I don't know. The thing that comes to mind was when they were building the at the Sandcastle, they put a new building there for the OT5 delivery. And I wasn't supposed to have anything to do with that building. Tom DeVox was in the CMO above the renovations area. So somebody else named Mike was running renovations at that point, and I went off on a recruit mission and different things and other projects, but wasn't allowed to walk into that building. And then partly through the thing, I was told, can you go in there and design and put in a phone system? So I did that. Then can you go in there and put in a PAC security system? I went and did that. So I kind of got deeper and deeper into this building that I wasn't supposed to have anything to do with. And then it was so off schedule and over budget that the guy that was running it got busted. In fact, he got shipped out of the Sea Org without even being able to say goodbye to his wife. And Tom DeVox comes over and he says, you're going to be in charge. And I said, this is like that game, Time Bomb, where they pass it around at the party. And the last guy to be holding it when it blows up. Now that it's about to blow up, it's supposed to be ready for being open with the execs coming in 2 weeks. Now I'm in charge, right? And it was funny. We just laughed at it, and I got it done in time, and it all came off. But it was kind of cracked us both up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Megan. All right, next question here. Christine Smith, thank you so much for the super chat, Christine. We really appreciate it. Do you have any information on where the ships were purchased from? Janis?
They were purchased in England. The Royal Scotsman used to sail. It was built in Glasgow, and I believe it was Glasgow where it was picked up from. The Avon River, I know, is being renovated in Hull, England. And I'm not sure about the Enchanter, but that was picked up in England as well.
Okay, and then the Free Winds was bought down in the Caribbean, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to study up more on the Free Winds. Paul was the one who was the expert on the Free Winds.
Yeah, he ran the missions to get the boat purchased. I remember that.
Yes, to find one and then purchase it and then get it renovated.
Thank you so much, Christine. We really appreciate that. We'll go to the next one. Clearwater Chad is in the house. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Clearwater Chad. He's got a great channel too. There's going to be a Clearwater Chatathon on Monday to raise money for Mike Rinder and help support him on Monday. And he does almost like a telethon, a streamathon or whatever. And I'm going to be participating in it on Monday. So anyway, Clearwater Chad is a great guy. Thanks so much, Clearwater Chad, for that super sticker. Next question is here. P.S. This is me. Comment. My first live as a member of Amy and Matt's YouTube channel. I love my SPTV and all contributors. Hashtag Team Mike. Well, thank you so much for that, P.S.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, I hope you'll give us a watch. Hit that subscribe button for us. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll have great content. And Amy and Matt have great content too. So thanks very much for that. Next question. Mer P. Question. Did Queen Bee Amy tell Matt that he's the carpenter bee because he was in charge of construction in the Sea Org? I'm a nerd that loves a good pun.
That's great. That's a good one.
So she didn't tell you you're the carpenter bee?
No, I didn't hear that yet.
Now you know.
Before you know it, you're going to be having a baseball cap with Carpenter BSP on it.
That's right. Yep.
Thanks very much. We'll go to the next one. Another super chat. Below me in Chicago. Thank you so much for that. I read in Going Clear that LRH was convicted of fraud in France back in the day. How did he avoid going to jail? Thanks for everything that you do. He was convicted of fraud in France. Janice, do you remember?
Yeah, he never went back to France. That's how they didn't get him. And then Hank Larhas, who was the commanding officer of Paris Org at the time, he was also supposed to be convicted. And Hank actually caught the midnight train out of Paris and got to Holland, where he was from, and just stayed there.
So always on the run. Hubbard, always on the run.
Yeah.
Always on the run. L. Ron Hubbard. Hey, thanks very much for that super chat. We appreciate it. Next one. Rosa H. Question. Do you have any details on DM and Shelley's wedding? Were either of you there?
I have photos.
Of course you do. Where did they get married?
In MCI.
Oh, they did. They didn't get married at W.
No. We were in when they started dating CMO Int. We were down in Pack in LA and that whole flood happened, and Shelley was up at Hammett at Gilman. And so every Liberty, DM would drive back to Gold, back and forth just to see Shelley.
Okay. Hey, Matt, do you remember Shelley in those times?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were on that ComEv, the RTC condition order number 1, where David Mayo and that whole gang of guys that got ComEv.
Hold on. You were on that with me?
Yes, with you, with Shelley, with Jesse Prince, with Ray Midoff. I mean, so we were.
You were on there. I got taken off because I was disaffected, and I got shipped to the PAC RPF because I didn't agree with what was going on.
Right.
This is good for another interview.
Yeah,
I forgot that you were on that. Yeah, no, we were members, and
it was ridiculous to have you there.
I was completely against what was going on. It came up in my sessions.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm being sec checked by Jesse Prince. Next thing I know, Miscavige and Steve Marlowe are chewing me out outside. And next thing I know, I'm packing the RPF.
Yeah, those are weird times, man. Weird times. And those guys were kept out at Happy Valley for months, waiting to find out what the recs were going to be, the recommendations of the ComEv. They knew they were going to get demolished, and eventually they just packed up and walked out of that place. And then I got in trouble for, how'd you let them escape? And I'm like, what was it supposed to do? Duct tape them? Come on.
Yeah, you were on security, right?
Yeah. And I'd called Steve Marlowe. I said, hey, these guys are getting antsy. They want to leave. Blah, blah, blah.
Say hello to everyone?
And I was trying to find out, get any information for these guys, but it wasn't happening. It was weird times.
Yeah. Who's that, Janis?
This is my granddaughter, Elizabeth.
What a cutie.
Hi, Elizabeth. Hi.
Keep going.
Yeah, we're going to carry on. Thanks, Rosa H. We'll do a video on DM and Shelley's wedding, right? Right, Janis?
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll also do one on David Mayo.
Okay, great. Next question, Irma Webb. Question, Janis, was the video I sent you clearer than the one you had?
I haven't had a chance to check it yet.
Okay. All right, Irma, thanks very much. Next question we've got here, Deviant Outcast. Question, did you ever reflect over the severity of the punishments not correlating to the crime, e.g. being pissed off due to unfair treatment? If so, how, if at all, does it affect you today? Who's going first on this one?
You guys, I've got to read it. Sorry.
I got to pull this off or I can't see you, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no justice in there, just so people understand. They got this thing called a committee of evidence, and some senior wants to get your head, so they call a committee of evidence, and they assign the 4 people that are going to be judging you, and they're going to pick the people that are most likely to take your head. It's just ridiculous. And then I would always be like, just give me the punishment. We'll skip the ComEv, which has to be done on your sleep time anyway. I don't know. You just get used to. You get used to injustice in there, and you just learn to shed it off and keep on going. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and it's a kangaroo court, right, Matt? I mean,
totally.
literally, I never saw anybody exonerated by a committee of evidence.
Never.
You're always found guilty.
Yes. And if you have to be found guilty, because if the people don't find you guilty, that means they had similar crimes of their own.
And then now they're in trouble. You.
That's right. So they got to say, yeah, he's guilty, or otherwise they're going to be interrogated to find what crimes they have that, are similar.
Yeah. And as far as how it affects me today, I mean, I always thought it was BS. I mean, even when I was doing it, if I was on a committee of evidence or subject to one, I don't think I ever was subject to one, but it was just crap, Anyway. Thanks for that question. All right. Next one here. GM Flower question. How do you have all these pictures? So many had theirs taken. Janis?
Yeah, a lot of mine were taken too. However, after I left, I was up to go through my dad's because I'd sent him pictures and my brother and sister had. And then my brother got all of Doreen's photos. And then people just started sending me photos. And I've, built up a collection.
The other thing I do is I'll search on Google. I'll Google image and I'll just write in terms and I'll look for photos and find some of them. Some of the ones we've used are ones that I found online.
Also, Karen de la Carrier had a great collection that she lets me use. She used to buy them and collect them. She's got an incredible collection as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for that question, GM Flower. All right. We'll go to the next one here. Goldie. Oh, my dog. Is that a 65 Mustang?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
That was, I remember that car. Do you remember that, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
Had that, yes, that Mustang.
Yeah.
I did my car school on that car.
Yeah, for anybody who needs to know, you couldn't drive unless you did car school, which was basically a course you had to do, and before you could get your license or anything like that. So, all right, Goldie, thanks very much, and thanks for moderating the channel. We really appreciate it. We'll go to the next question here. Sandy Bowers, question. Y'all were making things up as you went? No actual training in construction?
Nope. It was all books. Believe me, it was each person, if they were going to do the concrete, they sat in the office for 2 days and read up on the concrete books and then summarized it to the rest of us. If they were doing electrical, they had the code book and they were reading it. And, you know, we had basic like electrical books as well as more advanced ones. And these guys became really good at what they did. And it was all everything. Well, it was compaction and the framing and the concrete, whatever we were doing, it was all read it, do it, drill it, kind of what we call in Scientology, you read it, you drill what you're going to do, and then you do it.
Yeah, and I'll give a perfect example of that. Remember Martin Reed?
Oh yeah,
Martin Reed was Mr. Electrician, and he knew nothing about it. He started out reading manuals and reading books, and then he was putting in high power lines at the base by the time I was leaving. I mean, he could do anything electrical, and he was all self-taught, right?
Yep. And the inspectors knew that he knew far more than them. And if Martin Reed put his name to it, it was like sign it off.
Yeah, I'll give you another example too. Mark Headley. Okay, our friend Mark Headley. You know, he's Mr. Whiz as far as equipment goes and putting together systems and all that. He learned all that on his own, and also and when he was in Scientology, he just was really smart and picked it up. And it was the same thing. It was, you know, there were a lot of people, you know, who did things that had to be redone and all that. But people learned on the job, and then they had careers afterwards. The ones who left the Sea Org, I know quite a few who went into movies and stuff in Hollywood, and they made a great living out there.
Yeah, and some went into construction as well.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next question here. Thanks, Sandy. Hannah Reynolds, question. Did you consider getting certified for construction, Matt?
No, I never did, actually. I didn't really need to. We had other people that pulled the permits for us, like in Clearwater, when we worked on the Fort Harrison, that kind of stuff. There was an outside company, pulled the permit, and then, I mean, I was so busy, I didn't have time to go even think about go get certified. We just kind of get the next job done and get on.
Hey, didn't you also, I mean, we used to just buy furniture back when I was back in the day, but then you guys set up a whole mill, right, where you were making furniture. Is that right?
Oh yeah. They got a beautiful furniture shop in Clearwater, down the street from the Fort Harrison.
And did you learn a lot of skills with furniture? Because I know you had business after that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I worked in there for 2 years making custom furniture, high-end custom furniture. So, and I did all the different machines and all the different things, and so I learned that was just another skill I learned.
Did they also make furniture in pack? Because I think
they did.
Foster was there, Foster Tompkins.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. They set up a furniture shop over there too. It wasn't as sophisticated as the one in Clearwater, but they've turned out a lot of nice furniture from there.
Let me ask you another question regarding that, Matt.
Yeah.
Obviously, not everything was fun in the Sea organization, but would you say that when you were making furniture, that was one of the most fun jobs you had?
You know, I enjoyed almost all of my jobs except for the money making job and at Gold doing the post production stuff. Those jobs I didn't like, but otherwise, overall, I liked. You know, I liked the team kind of, you know, scene, and the people who are good there, and you know, the friends, and all that kind of is something that I just liked. It was fun.
Yeah, and I actually even enjoyed the renos on Saturday when we did base-wide renovations every Saturday. Every administrative post, you would go and you do renovations for 8 hours a day doing whatever, landscaping, construction, sheet wall, stone veneer. I mean, all this stuff, it was great. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
You would definitely
No, no.
learn. Yeah, you learn fast there because you're given responsibility to do things that you would never be given that kind of responsibility. So it's an environment where it's challenging and you learn. That's what I would say.
And just a quick comment on that. From my perspective on renovations, I was never allowed, because I was Miscavige's assistant and worked for Shelley. I was out there supervising the renovations, which basically means me riding around on my bike and making sure that the targets were getting met and all that. I missed out on all the fun. I didn't learn how to drywall and do all that sort of stuff. And I wish I had those skills when I left to see work.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. Thanks very much for that question. Next one here. Angel Hugger question: was it a Scientologist who made the hole that flooded the town?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about it. It was Chris Barton. And when you say flooding the town, I mean literally there were farms on the other side of the lake, right? I mean,
you can go on the computer and search the flood of 1980 in San Jacinto Valley, and they've got all kinds of beautiful photos, and you can see the destruction of people's cars, houses, businesses, farms. Yeah. I mean, it was major. I think 8 people died during that whole flood.
Well, I said cool. That's not cool.
I know.
I'm interested in seeing those photos. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, go on the computer. You will see some really gnarly photos on there.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that question. Next question: Lonesome Squirrel, aka COBILF. Jerry be like, hey, there's 20 boxes we need to move up from the basement. Okay, I don't get that, but that's okay.
No, because I pointed out Jerry Armstrong, and Jerry's the one who got all those boxes of of Hubbard's information.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
And expose that to the courts.
I get it now. Okay. All right. Next question here. This is from Karen Hill. Was there a burned area up high on the hill?
Yes, there were. And we actually went through several fires, and we'll do another episode on that. Matt, we'll have you back for that.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah. And we'll have Jackson. Maybe the 4 of us can do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, Karen. Next, we got a super chat. Thank you so much, KCG. Would you say that your time with Hubbard was easier than under Miscavige? Go ahead, Janis.
Yes, I would definitely say yes. Miscavige was unpredictable. Hubbard, you always knew if he blew up, you could always calm him down, and most of the time talk reason to him. Not all the time, but most of the time. With DM, sometimes you just couldn't even attempt it.
Yeah, and I didn't ever meet L. Ron Hubbard, but I mean, Matt, you were around the same time I was, where there were dispatches and advices that came down to the base and things that we had to do. And, Miscavige was way worse. But Hubbard, I'm reading Barefaced Messiah, like I've been mentioning recently. And he had a nasty streak himself. I mean, Janis and I talked about that last night, that we're going to do a video on that too, because there is a dark side to L. Ron Hubbard. We're not trying to, whitewash anything or blow over that and all that. We're giving our stories that we experienced and the things that we experienced here. And then you all can, use that information however you want. But there was definitely a dark side to Hubbard, and he could be nasty.
Big time.
But Miscavige took it to sadistic levels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Reading the stuff in Mark Headley's book and Amy's book, he's a sadistic, deviant person.
Yeah. He made an art form out of it.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks very much, KCG, for the super chat. Okay, Janis, you still looking for more? If there's more questions, I got more here.
Yeah.
Okay. Apostate Alex in the house. Hey, Alex, we still got to hook up so we can do we want to do a show together with him. Matt, you mentioned someone punched a hole and it resulted in the town being flooded to save the base. Was this a planned, decided action? Scientology literally flooding Hemet to save their own base?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a long thought out kind of a thing. It was more like desperation.
We're going to leave those. You hear
it was desperation. We were so desperate at that point, and that it was gonna break through. Like I said, we were standing in a trench that was below the level of the water, like, and with the mindset of a cult, thinking that this thing is going to save the universe or something. This property,
no.
yeah, it's just on a short term thing. Somebody took the idea like, this is it. It's going to bust through any minute. We're going to punch the other side.
Well, and if you think about it, it's every man for himself, it seems like, you know what I mean? If you're in a harrowing situation, you have to make split-second decisions sometimes that save your life or save your property that might adversely affect somebody else. And when you have to make decisions like that, it's difficult. It's a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should have been whoever can hold their side holds their side, not punch the other guy's side. I mean, that's not right.
But you know what? Also, that was mostly empty land on the other side. So anyone busting it would be thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to flood this empty farmland." But no, it went further.
Yeah. I mean, a whole river flooded that direction.
Yeah.
Look on the computer and look at those photos, and you will see really what happened.
Okay, Alex, thank you so much. Next question here. Stacy Y, question: how long before you started speaking up? Do you think people are speaking up quicker? Takes time to decompress. I'll just answer for myself. When we first got out, we didn't really speak up at all, but then I got reconnected. This is way early on. I got reconnected with Robert Vaughn Young and Stacy Young, who were friends of mine, and they were actually testifying against Scientology, and that was like taboo. You don't want to do that, but I didn't really care. I had to give a crap attitude about it. So I went and I hung out with Stacy and Vaughn, and I told them information, and they told me information. And Janis and I both were fair game. We had the original Dave LeBeau was sent in to spy on us as a Scientology private investigator. We had all sorts of dirty tricks that were done to us, and I spoke up during that time period. But I still had some reservations for myself because my sister was still a public Scientologist. And my mother, she had a relationship with my mother who had never been in Scientology. I didn't want to disrupt things too much. So I did a lot of speaking out, behind the scenes. And how about you, Janis? When did you start speaking up?
I kept it a secret for 19 years.
Yeah.
And then that whole Tampa...
the Tampa Tribune.
What happened in Vegas story. What happened in Vegas story came out, and then it kind of was like a relief. It released me of this big secret I'd had for 19 years, and that's when I started writing little stories, and then eventually the whole book. But it was that Tampa Bay story.
Yeah, and then Janis also. I mean, let's be fair too. Paul didn't want anybody speaking out. I mean, he wanted to just basically get on with life, right?
Yeah, he used to tell me, "Don't you dare bring the church down on us," and that was his biggest thing. He did not want them. We'd already gone through having PIs in our life. He didn't want any more disruption.
Yeah. And then how about you, Matt? You obviously spoke up publicly much sooner than we did.
Yeah, because of the disconnection situation with the family and all that kind of stuff, kind of pushed the envelope on that. I mean, if we didn't have our families busted up, we probably wouldn't have spoken out. But we were willing to take the risk and stand up because, when you start breaking up somebody's family, it doesn't leave you a lot of options.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that question. We've got the next question here is from Electric Boogaloo. Question, comment. It would be great to set up an online photo album and link to the videos where you discuss them. Love all three of you. Janis, did you hear that? Janis, did you hear that?
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I know you did. That's why. Question, comment. It would be great to set up an online photo album and link to the videos where you discuss them. Love all three of you. That is a good idea.
That's an idea. I also do have some photos. I haven't built it up in years, but on CommodoresMessenger.com, I've got a lot of photos there, but I don't have my discussing them or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can watch them on our channel. I mean, our content does not get old. I mean, literally you could watch it, 6 months from now and be just as current as it is today. So
yeah, and also there is the Granada video of Hubbard and the ship, and that was taken back in 68, 69. I'm trying to get a high resolution copy of that, and Irma just sent me so hopefully that's good enough resolution, and I'll just do a voiceover of that, telling everyone who people are and what's happening.
okay, thank you so much, Electric Boogaloo, for that question. That was a good one. Good suggestion. Lonesome Squirrel, aka COBILF, thank you so much for the super chat. That picture of DM and Captain Bill Robertson is incredible. Everything that is cool about Scientology and everything that is evil under one unfinished structure. Wow. Comments, anybody?
Just a piece of history there. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
It certainly is. And it's, it's pretty crazy. Anyway, thank you so much for that super chat, Lonesome Squirrel. Next question here. Oh, sorry, did that wrong. No, I already did that one. Sorry. This one. Another super chat. Denver Stevo. Hey, Denver Stevo. Onion people, OGs, and everyone, make sure to get your best wishes messages for Mike Rinder to Denver Stevo this weekend. Love to Amy, Janis, Matt, and Mark. Yeah, Denver Stevo is doing a little, if you do a little 10 or 15 second video message to Mike Rinder, send it to Denver Stevo, and he's getting them edited together to give them to Mike.
Very cool.
Very cool. It's going to be a video get well soon card, basically. So go to Denver Stevo's page, or and you can get contact information there, and go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Denver Stevo, for all that you do, and we all wish Mike well. I know you, Matt, you and Amy are in touch with him much more than we are, but we want to wish him well. Okay, and I did this one. All right, and next question, Electric Boogaloo again. Question: who do you think was the very first Scientologist following L. Ron, and what year would that have been? Well, the very first, when he came out with the book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health in 1950, that's when he, people read the article in Astounding Science Fiction magazine, and that's where it all began and all took off. And it's covered in detail in Barefaced Messiah, the book by Russell Miller. I'm reading it right now. So, do you have any questions, comments on that, Janis?
No, okay. that was before my time.
Okay, next question here. Vegan 3, you guys never had anything paid into Social Security. When I was in the Sea Organization, that's correct. But then after I got out, it's a good thing we got out when we did, because guess what? I'm getting Social Security now, and it's based on the 33 years of work that I did before I retired. So,
yes.
Sea Org member stuff. It's zero. It's zero when you look at the years I was in the Sea Org.
Yeah, I see other people who are like they're only out for a few years and only got a few years of Social Security, and that doesn't support them. They've got to keep working. Yeah.
And even mine's not great either. I still work part-time doing stuff. I want to keep busy. I can't just sit around all day. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Vegan 3. Next question. Stacy, were you all on Leah's TV series? I was not. How about you two?
Yeah, I was.
I was.
Yeah, I was
Matt,
not.
which one were you on?
A number of them, but the original pilot was done at my house.
Yeah,
season one, episode 1 was done at my house in Seattle.
Right.
That was with Amy and with her mom and all that stuff, and then we both got invited back to do various different shows with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was never asked, but they did use my photograph and my stories and stuff on that. And a lot of it has to do with lawyers, because Scientology does a lot to dirty the water about people, including me. And they make up all sorts of hate sites and hate information and all that. And so basically they would have come after me, and the producers and the lawyers for the whatever A&E or whatever the channel, they wouldn't have ever put me on, based on all the stuff that Scientology would have put out on me. So it's just as well that I didn't go on it. But that's why we can do YouTube, because I'm telling all the information I have now and here, and they can't do, diddly squat about it. Right, Matt?
Yep. That's right.
That's what's great about this YouTube channel stuff, is that there's no filter. We're just telling the truth. We're not doing anything. And if they have hate sites and all that, I could care less. It doesn't bother me.
It's a big problem for Scientology that we're all able to speak out like we are.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
I was on season 3, episode 5. Where's Shelley?
Right.
Perfect.
All right. Next question here. Kutalahak Rivas. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. Question: does Janis remember anybody from the gold office at the complex in LA, like Deborah, Bill Truax, or the CMO teenager in charge?
No, Matt, do you remember from your days down there?
No, I don't. Maybe if I saw a picture of him or something like that, but I don't remember him.
I had little to do with them because I was always more on the management side rather than gold.
The gold office
RPF running around.
Matt, the gold office in Clearwater, the gold office in LA at the complex, was that for like rushes, like getting post production, that type of thing? Because like all the film that was filmed at the studio at Gilman Hot Springs, it all had to go to Los Angeles to the labs in order to get developed, right?
Yeah, they had runners that went back and forth between the base and the PAC base in LA.
Yeah.
So there was a whole logistics line that went back and forth.
Okay. Sorry, we couldn't answer much better, but thank you so much for asking. Next question, Sherilyn. Question: wondering how OSA and SR staff don't realize that DM is the who, why of Scientology crashing stats. SR, I guess, is Scientology. I don't know. Wondering how they don't realize the DM is the who, why of Scientology crashing stats.
Well, they probably do realize it, but they're just not going to speak up.
Exactly.
And
plus,
go
ahead.
Go ahead.
You got information control in there, like big time, where when they're being told that the statistics are doing this and that, the people, they have no way to go any other source to see if what they're being told is true or not. So they're being fed all this information, and they think that Scientology is doing great, and Dave Miscavige is leading us to 10x expansion or 50x or whatever he pulls out of his butt that week. And these guys don't know what the real truth is. And so that's one of the problems, is they can't get the big picture to see what's really going on and how Dave Miscavige has affected the organization.
And then the ones who do know, like that go to the events and they're having to, or like the ideal organization events where they bring all the staff from PAC or LA to go act as a staff and people there. I mean, they know it's a charade, but they're not going to say anything because they want to believe it, that it's expanding, and they don't want to get in trouble,
And if they say it to somebody and that gets reported, which they will, you're taught to rat out.
Yeah.
Anybody who says anything negative about what's going on or counter, and then all of a sudden you're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for that question. Good. Another super sticker, D Trey. Thank you so much for that super sticker. Cute doggy. Thank you so much for that. Next question here, Denver Stevo again. Join us on Monday, June 26th, after Monday Night Live, for our Up All Night for the Love of Mike chat-a-thon, supporting Mike Rinder and his family's needs. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier about Clearwater Chad, where it's going to be an up all night, and I'm going to be I'm going to be broadcasting for like a half an hour, and join us on Monday night. That's a good plug.
That's great.
Yep. Thanks, Denver Stevo, for all that you do. We really appreciate it. All right, next we've got another super chat here. Cheryl Luz 7 in Las Vegas. Hi Cheryl. Hi y'all. Janis, that's our dinner friend.
Hi Cheryl. Thank you for a great dinner.
We had a great time at Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in Las Vegas, and we really appreciate you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for that. Okay, next question. There was a ship in San Pedro called the Bluefin in one of the newsletters. Forgot what it was renamed to. Is that the Enchanter?
They had the Enchanter and they had the Boulevard. And there's one other.
Bluefin before that or no?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one it was changed to.
Okay. Well,
I think I covered in my book.
Okay. Next question here, another super chat. Life in Sync. Thank you for the super chat, Life in Sync. Howdy, Mark, Janis, and Matt. Thank you for all the great photos and sharing your stories. What was the first thing you all did once you left? Go ahead, Matt. What was the first thing you did?
First thing me and Amy did was we went and did some food shopping. We went and got a bottle of wine. We went and got some ice cream, some root beer. We made root beer floats. We rented a film, a movie. Because we weren't watching movies obviously for years, and yeah, that's what we did. That was the first day.
Go ahead, Janis.
I showed up on my brother's doorstep, and he showed up surprised. And we went down to the beach with him and spent the first night on the beach camping. I went to an ice cream truck and got ice cream from the truck.
There you go.
And the first thing I did was go on a road trip up the Pacific Coast Highway from Gilman Hot Springs, up the PCH up to San Francisco, then across to Lake Tahoe, then down to Las Vegas, and then all the way down to San Diego. And that was my little road trip to get away from it all. So that was the first thing that I did. But I'll never forget, I was thinking, remembering this, right? Shortly after we were out and we were in Las Vegas, I remember on Sunday morning going and buying a Sunday newspaper and getting a donut, and I don't drink coffee, but getting something to drink, and thinking to myself, man, I can read this whole paper if I want to and enjoy my donut and my drink, and I don't have to worry about being on post.
Yeah. Freedom.
Oh dear. Hey, Vegas 3 just said the bluefin became the Excalibur.
Okay. Excalibur. There you go. All right. So hope that answers the question. Thank you so much for that Life in Sync. All right, we'll go to the next. We got a super sticker from L. Wint. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And KCG question, Janis, I think you should do a book of pictures.
Someone suggested that to me, and
well, your books right now have pictures in them, right?
Yeah, but this was just going to be a picture book for people to look at pictures with little captions under it, and I might get to that one day. I've got to do my audio for book 2. I've got to do book 3. I've got to keep finding photos for this, and I'll put that on my list, a book of pictures.
Hey, but at least now you got your microphone set up so you can do the audio on book 2.
Yeah, someone said I needed to come forward. Now I'm being told to back off. So I still got to get this microphone down.
Well, we can hear you fine. So
okay.
You're the best you can. And by the way, you can order Janis's books on Amazon.com, book 1 and book 2. Just type in Janis Gillham Grady and Commodore's Messenger, and the books are there. Also, her audio book, we have links of them all in our description. And I'm sure Amy's book is available too, right, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
Scobie Publishing, right? .com?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're interested in those, they're great books. Thanks, KCG. Next one, Vegan 3. And here you guys said you had empty resumes. After all the stuff we did, yeah. The problem is that the resumes, a lot of the stuff that we did, Scientology would never verify. Like I remember, I did management stuff. How am I going to, translate that to a job in the real world? It was very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question, Sarah Hicks. Question for Matt: when did you and Amy start courting, and how did you get to spend time together?
We were in the RPF together in Clearwater, and we were both put on CS and case supervising, and for the upper levels, which means you're in an office that's locked and private, and yeah, so we had time with each other with nobody else around.
Okay, great.
So watch out.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. Next question. Susanna Pimentel. Question. Happy Father's Day. Yes, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Even when you own a fur baby, pet, you are a dad. Enjoy and celebrate. I second that sentiment. So thank you very much, Susanna, for that. Next, Veronica Bombria. Who's that cutie with Janis?
That is my granddaughter, Elizabeth. She's 3.5 years old, and she loves coming to visit her grandma.
And Elizabeth's mother was in the photograph with Rocky and Moose earlier in the video. They were looking at Aaron's cell phone.
Yes. So go back and look at that photo to see her mother.
Okay, thanks very much, Veronica. Next question here. Jillian W. question. I'm fairly new here, but I recently watched Louis Theroux's documentary about Scientology, and Marty Rathbun was a prominent character as an ex-Scientologist. Did he return to Scientology? Go ahead, anybody.
Well, he didn't return to Scientology as far as like practicing it or anything like that, but he did go to the dark side, where he started making videos and talking out against the people who were his friends in order to get the church to back off of him and his family. You got to realize his wife was never in Scientology, and they were trying to adopt a child, and they had Scientology going crazy on them, like bad. And she would be at work, and they'd be sending sex toys to her job, and just everything they could do to disrupt. And her dad had just had a heart attack, and they had people going to her father's house and trying to disrupt his life, even though he had never had anything to do with Scientology. So they were getting super nasty, and it wasn't good for his family. And so he did what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody has to make their choice. You know what I mean? That's what he did, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jillian, for that question. Next question from Veronica Bombria. Question for Elizabeth. Do you have the best grandma ever?
Yeah, she thinks so.
Janis is answering for Elizabeth.
Elizabeth has told me that.
Okay, good. And I can verify that. I think that's how Elizabeth feels. So thanks very much, Veronica. All right, next question here is Just Walk Away question. Any info? What happened to Greg/Debbie Hughes? Time in the hole, abuse by DM. They were at Gold. You all are great. They are no longer in the C organization. Yeah, Greg Hughes and Debbie Hughes, they were the ones who started Sterling Management before they joined the C organization, which was Scientology reaching into dentistries and dentists and, basically teaching them how to expand their practices. And then I remember Greg came up to be the Gross Income Executive International. And I forget what Debbie was. How about you, Janis? Do you know?
No, that was Debbie, who is the exec int. Greg was Watchdog Committee Wise.
Right. There you go. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Over businesses. WISE is the World Institute of Scientology Enterprises. It was basically Scientology's arm over businesses that use Scientology administrative technology. And Greg in charge of that. But I don't know. They got out at some point, I think, and I don't know what their current status is. Matt, do you know anything about Greg or Debbie Hughes?
Amy has the information on that, but maybe she'll talk about it at some point.
What I know is Debbie had some medical issues, and they ended up leaving. They're living in Texas, I believe, and they can be found on Facebook.
Okay.
Because I keep being notified. I have a mutual friend with Greg Hughes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. Next question, Super Chat, Calico26. Thank you so much for that. Janis, would you do another Where's Shelley with Claire on Dave and Shelley's wedding? We'll do it on our channel, right?
Yeah, we can do it on our channel. Yeah.
I mean, we can include Claire too. I don't have a problem with that. I love Claire. Claire's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I did a Where's Shelley with Claire, and it hasn't aired yet, but I think it's coming up here pretty soon because I worked with her every day for 6 years right before I left Sea Org. So anyway, yeah, but no, we will definitely cover Dave and Shelley's wedding. Thank you so much, Calico26. Next question, Joel McCoy question. Well, comment. I finished Janis's book 1. It was great. I recommend it. Y'all read it or face the RPF. Yeah, Joel was a winner when we did a giveaway on Janis's book 1. So now, Joel, you're going to have to buy, book 2 unless we decide to give away a book 2 at some point, and you get lucky to win, right? Anyway, we're glad you enjoyed it, Joel, and thank you for the recommendation. All right, we got a super sticker. Just walk away. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Russ T. It sounds like Janis's new mic is not working. I've
been hearing it fine.
Well, some people have said it's fine, not to worry. So maybe it's me moving around. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a directional mic, so you've got to kind of be positioned where it picks you up.
And I am not the type to just sit still.
No. Okay, thanks very much, Russ T. Next, sorry about that. That was the same one. Here we go. And we got another super chat, super sticker from Tom Miller. Thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate it. We hope you all are enjoying the content. And if you have any questions, get them in now because we're going to wrap it up here shortly. We've got a few questions left, but otherwise we'll be here all night. But anyway, if you've got any last questions, go ahead and get them in. Irma Webb question: we all still love you as much as everyone else, Mark, even though you weren't on the Aftermath. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Irma. Next question, Veronica Bombria. Question: when cult of Scientology loses their tax exemption, wouldn't it be awesome if the funds that are recovered go into a Church of Scientology fund for SPs? That would be. I would rather that the people who donated and got their life savings taken away, I'd like them to get the money first.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of people that should get money back from the church. I think.
Exactly.
The cult, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Use the word church.
And pay off their bankruptcies.
Yep. I mean, man, they've ruined so many people financially, so many people's lives. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. And then a lot of that stuff happened after we left. I remember Amy and Matt, you telling us about that. The donations were just outrageous,
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question real quick about that, Matt, because you were over Treasury at the FSO, right? I remember Hubbard railed against the value undelivered service. The amount of undelivered service at the FSO was a key stat that he pushed the executives. It wasn't just the gross income, right? That value of undelivered services must have been huge when you were in there, right?
It got up to $400 million when I was the Treasury Sec, and it was getting worse by the week. And if you think about it, if they're delivering like 1.4 million, it would take them like 6 years of flat out delivery to make up the amount, that debt that they owed to people. So if you had a country that owed 6 years of its total production, I mean, our country gets over 1 times that, and it's a big problem. But the place was, Scientology wasn't able to survive financially selling Scientology, which is why they switched to all these other things that they take direct donations for, because they were seriously in financial problem. So I'm going to do a whole video about that at some point, but it wasn't surviving selling Scientology.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, I just remember because I was in management for a long time. He didn't just push the gross income; he pushed also the delivery of service. That he got upset. Really got upset if they weren't delivering auditing hours and students' points and all that jazz.
Just for that reason, because he didn't want the orgs to have all this money taken in and owe all that delivery, and he knew that was a problem. And they didn't listen to him. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I have no idea what it's up to now. It's probably, for Scientology complete altogether, I bet you it's $1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, he always used to say, push delivery, the income will always follow delivery.
Right, because he expected great results and people would then buy more services.
Yep.
The other thing he was worried about was refunds, potential refunds with all this undelivered services. If they got $1 billion of undelivered service, that's $1 billion of potential refunds,
That's right. It's a financial liability. And we were paying out close to $200,000 a week in refunds.
Wow.
When I was the Treasury Sec. Yeah.
I remember $200,000 a week was the income. I mean, back in the day, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there was a long waiting list. I mean, so when we had a good GI week, a whole chunk of money would be pulled out to try to bring that down. All these people waiting in line saying, "Give me back my money."
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that thank you for the question on the money. Chulalia Huak Rivas, I know I just butchered that again. Question: I think it would be a good idea to make podcasts describing events for every LRH movie screen with details. You're talking about his movies, I guess.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't have a lot of information on the scripts and all that stuff because they were never really produced while I was there.
And the films that were released have all been pulled back. Yeah. I don't know of anyone with a copy.
And then, by the way, as far as podcasts go, you can watch our videos. We have a podcast playlist on YouTube, and if you don't have time to watch, you can listen to these on your phone or whatever where you do podcasts. You just go to our page on YouTube and then hit the podcast link. There's a tab, and we've got all of our videos are on there, and you can actually listen to them in your car or listen to you while you're jogging or doing whatever.
But you missed the photos.
You missed the photos, but you can hear, the interviews and all that. So, okay. Thanks very much. Next question, same person question. And of course, the whole deserves a dedicated live stream. Do you have one programmed? Yes. Thank you. We weren't around for the whole, so I don't have anything. You were, Matt, though, or Amy was, right?
No, she got out of there just in time. She got out of there. Yeah, she got sent to the RPF in Clearwater, and within weeks or months, the whole happened and all that stuff went down. So she just escaped.
Yeah, unfortunately, so we won't be doing anything because we had no experience with it. But anyway, there's other people that are doing stuff like that, Mike Rinder, and of course the Aftermath covers it and all that. Okay, next question, Supreme Rula. Question from Mark and Janis. Will there be another interview with Ken Urquhart?
Yes. Yeah, Ken's a joy. He's such a pleasure. Old friend of mine since I was 12 years old. So, yeah, we've got a lot more to cover with Ken.
Yeah, and just so people know, I mean, because we've got, the rehabilitation project for us, he lays out, if you listen to that one, we got him to talk about it, and he was happy to talk about it, right? But he also, just so you know, as far as his feelings towards L. Ron Hubbard, there is a time where he feels Hubbard went way off the rails and got out of hand. And that's one of the things we're going to talk to him about. He's just not completely, a rosy picture at all. And we don't want anybody to get that impression. We just have more that we're going to interview him about. And we'll cover a lot of that stuff. Okay. Thank you very much, Supreme Rula. Next question here. Why they say they're a church when they aren't? Tax purposes.
Yep.
Protection in legal courts. That's the only reason, even though they say, oh, but we deal with the spiritual being and all that. Yeah. The whole reason was to fend off a tax. That's what it was for.
But, apparently there is 5,000 religions registered with the IRS.
Yeah.
5,000.
Well, and it's a tax shelter. I mean, and people do that all the time. Okay. Thanks, Willie Weed. And then we've got Veronica Brambria. Mat Pesch, your accent sounds like me and everyone else from Long Island, New York. Is that where you're from?
Oh, Long Island, yeah.
Where exactly are you from in Long Island?
North Babylon. It's on the South Shore, about halfway out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, thank you very much, Veronica. Janice, do we have any more there?
Yeah, just one more asking, was Marty Rathburn born into Church of Scientology? No, he was not. Mm-mm. He was what, 1920, Matt?
Yep. It's funny. We're almost the exact same age. We joined within weeks of each other, and we left within weeks of each other 27 years later. So, yeah, it's a funny thing.
Great. Anyway, I want to get back over here. Please subscribe to our channels, both our channel as well as Amy and Matt's channel. We really need the subscribers. It helps us get the message out to more people. A lot of people who watch these videos are already subscribed, but what it does is it helps YouTube to actually push it out on the home pages of other people who have not seen this information, but might be interested in watching it. So the more subscribers we get, the more videos we get, the more reach out there is, the more the message gets out. So please, if you get a chance, just click that subscribe button and do it also for Amy and Matt's channel. Because
also the like button. Hit that like button too.
You're right, Matt. You're right about that. We're all in this together. We're all supporting each other. We're not competing with each other. We are all working to get the message out.
Yeah, it looks like there's only 7 people that have hit the like button so far out of the 451 that are currently watching.
You know what?
We know your names. No,
you know what that is? That's Janis. That's not the like button that you're seeing. That's 7 people that are watching on Twitter. Because we're also feeding on my Twitter. Yeah, I think that's the Twitter feed. People are watching there.
Okay.
All right, you guys, you're off the hook.
Yeah, and then also, like I mentioned before, if you want to order Amy's book or Janice's books, Go to Amazon.com. We have links in there, as also her audiobook. And Matt, we want to thank you as being our special guest. You're a longtime friend of ours, and we really appreciate both you and Amy. You guys are wonderful people, and
we love you guys
for being here.
We've known each other for over 40 years. You realize that? Wow.
I know. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Yes.
And when I see those photographs of like the flood and Doreen and the people and all that sort of stuff, it makes me feel so young seeing those photos.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it was not that long ago that we were there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Someone's pushing Koala Calm for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Janis has got her Outback Naturals. If right here, there's the website. If you want to order Calm or her vitamins or whatever, go to outbacknaturals.com.
That stuff is good. I take that Calm. It's really good.
Yeah, it is good.
It is.
I
really
like
good.
the apple cinnamon flavored.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Matt, you want to say, Janis?
No, anytime. I mean, I enjoy this. I'll do it 24 hours a day. I love talking about it and getting the information out and getting Scientology exposed. I mean, that's what it's all about. And we got to get that place changed, taken down. And
definitely.
Miscavige needs to be in prison. Let's face it.
Yep.
Fabulous, Matt. I'm gonna play the end video, but please stay on after we go offline. We want to talk to you just a little bit more. Okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Matt, and love to Amy.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.